I think we'll start again. If everybody would take a seat, please. Now I'm going to announce the result of ballot 2, and it will go up on screen behind me. The number of eligible voters, 91. The number of votes cast, 91. Invalid votes, again this time 0. Total valid poll, 91. Then the manner in which the votes were cast. Option 1, Article 40.3.3 should be repealed, i.e. deleted and not replaced. 39 voted for option 1, that's equivalent to 44%. Option 2, Article 40.3.3 should be replaced or amended. 50 votes for option 2, equivalent to 56% of the vote. Then the third voting option, prefer not to state an opinion. The number who voted for that was 2. So the majority has voted in favour of option 2. Article 40.3.3 should be replaced or amended. So that means that we now move on to ballot 3. Yes. Yes, yeah, I think I made this clear in the explanation. In relation to ballot 2, the majority is in favour of option 2 because the majority is determined by reference to the total votes cast on both option 1 and option 2. Now we'll move on to ballot 3, and so as I've just announced, in ballot 2, the members of the Assembly voted by a majority that Article 40.3.3 should be replaced or amended. Moving on to ballot 3 now, this will allow the citizens to formulate recommendations on how Article 40.3.3 should be replaced or amended. Again, this draft ballot has been prepared by myself, the Secretariat, with the assistance of the Expert Advisory Group and with the input of the Steering Group. The text is displayed now on the screen. The top of the paper outlines how we have reached this ballot. In ballot 1, the Citizens' Assembly voted by a majority that Article 40.3.3 should not be retained in full. In ballot 2, which the result of which has just been announced, the Assembly voted that Article 40.3.3 should be replaced or amended. The proposed wording of the question on this ballot is, and you can see it there, how do you think Article 40.3.3 should be changed? From the premise that Article 40.3.3 should be replaced or amended, we have identified 2 possible types of change, and thus the ballot provides for 2 options. Option 1 is that Article 40.3.3 should be replaced by a new constitutional provision that explicitly authorises the Oireachtas to legislate to address both the termination of pregnancy and any rights of the unborn. This constitutional provision would grant the Oireachtas the exclusive power to make the law on these issues, and I want to repeat that. This constitutional provision would grant the Oireachtas the exclusive power to make law on these issues. In other words, the constitutional amendment here would serve to clarify that it is the will of the people that the Oireachtas has full control over these matters. It would then be a matter for the Oireachtas to decide how to regulate these issues. Going on to option 2. Option 2 is that Article 40.3.3 should be replaced or amended with a new constitutional provision that directly addresses both the termination of pregnancy and any rights of the unborn. This constitutional provision, as interpreted by the courts, would limit the lawmaking powers of the Oireachtas. So that is the difference between the two options. The first option is that the Oireachtas has exclusive power to make law. The option 2 is that the provision would be in the Constitution, it would be a constitutional provision, and it would limit the lawmaking power of the Oireachtas. This could be implemented primarily by, this is option 2 now, by a constitutional provision, whether by way of replacement or amendment of Article 40.3.3, in conjunction with legislation, or in certain circumstances by legislation only. You will also see there is a third voting option, as there was on the last ballot, that can be selected. Prefer not to state an opinion. Once again, this is included on the ballot paper to accommodate members who may not wish to express a view on how change should be effected. Now, in relation to the presentation of the results, I just want to again briefly refer to that. A sample result sheet is now on the screen. Once again, it will specify the number of citizens eligible to vote and the number of citizens who voted. The results will provide details of the number of votes cast in respect of option 1, option 2, and the third voting option, prefer not to state an option. However, I should be prefer not to state an opinion. Sorry about that. However, for the avoidance of doubt, a majority will be determined by reference to the total votes cast in favour of option 1 and option 2. Now, the next steps basically are that we will go into private session to allow the members to discuss the draft ballot amongst themselves, and they'll do the discussion in round table format, and we will resume at my timings. At 3:30, at 3:30. We will resume at 3:30, at which point we will have a questions and answer session. Thank you very much.